Alright, let's do this. This is the last force disposition set of matchups I'm going to do. Again, sorry for any terrible audio issues. I don't have the best recording situation. I also have parrots nearby. You can probably hear the tinking of him moving around his cage right now as I start talking again. Anyways, we're going to do the priority assets side of things here. We are going to start with the priority assets mirror match. This one gets sabotage. At any battle round, end of your turn. For each friendly unit that commits sabotage this turn, you get 3 victory points, and cumulatively, for each of those units that was in range of one or more objectives in your opponent's territory, you get 2 victory points in addition. So you get 5 for any objective in your opponent's territory, and then 3 for committing sabotage normally. Sabotage, the action is your shooting phase. It's going to be 1 unit with a range of objective, so your home objective. It is unlimited. You can use as much as you want a turn. Each unit that starts this action, this phase, must be with a range of a different objective. If it's any return if you control the objective. And the effect is you committed sabotage. Is this multiple? It is not. It's a small one even. Okay. In the second battle round onwards, on your command phase, you control 1 or more objectives, including home. This one's really interesting. It's not leaving markers, so you just want to keep going and doing actions against each other. That is the big theme of priority assets. It is a lot of actions. Your army needs to be very specifically built into this one, I feel like. More so than some of the others. The sabotage just has some really cool missions, in my opinion, though. I'm not sure how fun they'd be to play because of, again, being pretty action heavy. But if you have the right list, and, you know, today, I mean, I'm filming this Monday night, like right before midnight here. So they just announced today that some of the point changes are coming, that some of these will like stealth and everything, and scout are potentially going down in points. So that could be really good. Like some of the action units that you normally use might be a bit cheaper, so the priority assets players might have a little easier time finding a couple, like some extras of those in their list. Kind of really cater to what they're doing. We'll see here. Priority assets versus priority assets, I feel like it's probably going to be a rare matchup in general. I feel like it's one of the less common of the dispositions from glancing through, but I could be wrong, there's a lot of combos out there, so. But it's one of the unique ones. This is only the second set I've seen, or at least off the top of my head. There's 45 of these fucking things, it's hard to remember them all. That has a small central objective. But the board still has good density to it. Like, there's some good firing lanes in some of these, too. There's some really good freaking firing lanes in some of these. Oh my gosh. But, yeah. Layouts are great. Nothing's glaringly weird on that one. Playing the mission on it. I'm surprised it doesn't have multiple central objectives. I guess it's trying to make you, like, just really fight over it. You control an objective, but you gotta do actions on all the objectives, so it's all about those actions, buddy or baby. So, because assuming central, so this would be in the enemy's territory, that would score you 5. If you did an action on their home, it would also score you 5. So, depending how the halfway cut is determined for central, if it counts as your enemy's territory or not. I don't think it does, but so your home objective, or your natural expansion will get you 3, where theirs would get you 5. 5. So if you did it just on these two, 6 points per turn plus a 4 for holding in, which I think gives you 10 per turn. So that gives you 40, and if you did in the first turn, you get capped by just holding these 3 points and doing your action every round here on these 2. That's interesting, actually. But this is a very small central objective, so like, and it's got like the dense terrain like all over the place on it, so you're not gonna be holding the central with like a really big unit for the most part. I feel like you could have some big units near. Well, they could tailwind, I guess. They're not moving through it though. Interesting, but they can move. But your heavy units and your monsters, your vehicles, they can move really well through most of this board. Otherwise, though, There's a little overhang with how they drew that piece in there, but most things should fit through this gap right here, to be honest with you. That's, yeah. Looking forward to maneuvering my monsters and or my, well, not my vehicles, I don't have vehicles, all my monsters around the table here. Bring the turret deployer and all my vehicles. Anyways. Alright, when your priority assets versus disruption. You get the Extract Relics mission. Aim out around, a fairly performs sensory sweep this turn. One or more units, enemy units at the start of the turn within range of one or more objective markers are destroyed. Only one of your opponent's operation markers is on the battlefield if one or more of your units are within the same terrain area as the operation marker, or as that operation marker. And if enemy units are within that terrain area, you get 4 more points. This one's fun. Okay, so the sensory action, you can do it once per turn. And you use it to get rid of their objectives. Because at the start of the game, here, well, yeah, at the start of the game, it's a big deal. The disruption player picks 5 pieces of terrain, they put a marker in them. And essentially, you're both going back and forth, doing your actions to sweep them, and so there's only 1 left. But you can only do the sweep thing on a central objective. And there's only 1 central objective, and it's small. It's priority assets always get the small centers. That's kind of been the theme so far here. Anyways, but yeah, so you can, both players have the same action. Because they both interact with the disruption players start of the battle thing. But once you're down to 1 operation marker, you basically want to strategically control center. So you can kind of dictate where that last operation marker is going on the table. So you can ideally put in a spot that's easier for you to control and to hold and keep your opponent off. And vice versa. You both have like the same main task going on. The big difference is if they destroy so much, they get 4 points. If they're holding that piece by themselves, they get 4 points. So I'm doing this one a little differently here. I've talked about this one before, and I've thought a lot about this one here. Both players, if you control at least 1 objective, you both get 4 points from the second battle onwards. And at the end of the battle, only one of your opponent's operation battlefield. So if you control the last operation marker in a piece of terrain and there's no enemies on it, you get 5 victory points at the end. The disruption player just has to keep you off that terrain area. They don't have to be on it. Oh, you do have the other, you know. So whoever controls the operation marker at the end gets 5 victory points. It's just really interesting because technically the extract relic person has more opportunities to score, I feel like. But the disruption player gets to control where the things are going, but it can't go in their own deployment zone. In the opponent's deployment zone, which is hilarious. Let me throw that out there. That's absolutely hilarious. So each time they destroy something by an objective, they get 4 victory points. They get 3, but they get the extra 4 for doing the action here. That's what really throws me off on this one. Is it feels like the priority assets player has the advantage because of this. Maybe they control the objective though. Ooh. So yeah, I guess because you know, control the objective, the sweep it, you're like forced to destroy them if they're holding it, like if they play it defensively and cagey. So like with this count as outside your deployment? Like same, these are split. With this count outside your deployment? Because if that does, man, that changes things a bit. For this one, I think it's really clear. Obviously, these are all part of your deployment. So, and these are 1 piece. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's just 5 in bands. If you wanted to put 1 in your opponent, you could. So I guess really at the end of the day, you're doing those 5 operation markers on the 5 pieces in the midfield. Every table's kind of set up like that. Like I said, this does touch the deployment zone a little bit. So I guess it's considered like partially in your deployment zone, so maybe that counts. Same with that one, because otherwise there's just 5 definite pieces of terrain. But like I said, you could place the operation marker in your opponent's deployment zone. Um, just if I did that myself, I would tactically be like, okay, I'm gonna run up and take the center, and then I'm gonna get rid of the one unit in my opponent's deployment zone first. Like, if you messed up and your opponent controlled the center the entire time, or yeah, then you know you don't really get to score that. There's also that weird back and forth too, like if the same person controls the center the entire time, it's going to take a while to burn through all the operation markers. It's going to take essentially all 5 turns if the same person holds it the entire time. Or it's going to take the first 4 turns, because you can leave one left. But if both players are switching back and forth who controls central objective, you could potentially be, like, by turn 3, be down to just 1 operation marker. This is a weird mission. I'm really curious how it plays out. I might end up playing Disruption as a Tyranid player. We'll see. I know Taken Hold's a big one for us. Disruption's semi-big for us. I think Vanguard Onslaught gets Recon. Off the top of my head. I think the Lictor Detachment has Disruption as well. I think so does the Static Nexus. I don't know. I'll have to look here. Points come out soon. I'm gonna really start prepping out lists then, but priority assets against Take and Hold gives us secure assets. Any battle round, end of your turn, a friendly unit secured the asset this turn. See the reverse for 42 points. At least one enemy unit that started the turn within range of one or more central objectives was destroyed. Your shooting phase, the action, one friendly unit within range of objective marker. You can do it once per turn. Completes at the end of the turn if you control the objective. Unit secures the asset. It is multiple centrals, so it's not a small one again, but it is split. Yes, that's all the unique central objectives, it seems, or a lot of them. And the other part, at least one enemy in terms of central destroyed. Say by round onwards, enter your command phase, you control 1 or more objectives for 4. You control 3 or more objectives for 4. That one jumps quite a bit. If you hold 1 or 2, you get the same. If you hold 3 or more, which is half the table, that's not undoable. It's pretty doable, honestly, with this table setup. So, like, if you did that, and you secure the assets, so ignoring this one, like, even without you destroying it, you could potentially score 12 points in a turn, 14 with that. These you can only score in the second round onwards, so what, that's your 28 points, or no, 32 points. Oh my gosh, I can't do my math. 32 points if you score this for... But you have the whole 3, which, like I said, 6 objectives, it's not too bad. So you did that every round, and you did your action. It's 12... Man, you cap pretty quickly. You hit 48 just in 4 turns. Not including to be able to do this in the first round. That's assuming you hold 3 objectives the whole time. Where the Take and Hold player is going to get Inescapable Dominion. The battle round, end of your turn, you control 3 more objectives for 4. So battle on a round, you control 2 or more objectives for 5. You control more objectives than your opponent for 4. You control your opponent's home at the end of the game for 5 additional points. And I'm not sure if these count towards your 15 per turn cap, because it's the end of the battle and it's a different color code and everything. We'll probably know that really, really soon here. For sure, if it's not already out there. But this one's interesting because if you could end up playing Tyranids, I would start with 3 objectives. I'd have Lictors or some sort of infiltrator on them right out the gate. So like, plus they're not. None of these objectives on your table half are too far from you. Yeah, because your home counts for the control 3 or more and the control more objectives. It counts for the 3 or more. It just doesn't count for the control 1 or more objectives here. Is it Take and Hold player? If you control 3 objectives, you get 4. You get that on your first turn. So if you just control 3, You score 9 points every round. You do it for 4 rounds, so it's 36, plus if you got this in your first turn, that puts you at 40 right there. So you either technically, man, you just gotta take your opponent's home at the end, or score this twice to cap out primary at that point. Assuming everything goes like perfectly, it doesn't go like that in the game, but like honestly, it's not too bad for either of these. This is one of those mission matchups. It's not too bad for either one of them to max it. So they really have to push into each other to stop the other person from maxing primary. So that's an interesting dynamic with some of the. It's just kind of registered with me because I went through so many of these, and there's ones I've went through some of them like multiple times now at this point. But some of the primaries encourage one player to be aggressive sometimes. Sometimes they encourage both players to be aggressive. Or they encourage not like targeted aggression, I guess, almost like where it's like, oh, you only have to hold one objective. But if you hold their home at the end as well, you get extra stuff. So just hold one objective and go for their home. Like it's weird. It's gonna be cool to see how it really plays out. I'm excited for the Wild West days of the beginning of the edition. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyways, on this one too, it's very clear which objectives are in the, whose territory. Like it matters in this one. With the exception of these big ones, I guess, because they clip into it. This table particularly feels really dense from glancing at it. I feel like it still has some good firing lanes on it. But I really understand too, like with the article, they're talking about the points that like vehicles with a lot of mid-range firepower are probably going to see a point increase because they can just tow in something like this and then just fucking let loose in every direction. So, and like, yeah, they can't like see through to the other side of these ruins, but there's bound to be things towed into them as well. Especially like the highlight of the game, especially when there's a central objective here, expansion objective here. There's gonna be all kinds of shit over here. You tow in there with your vehicle with its mid-range fire, its mid-range firepower. It is gonna light all this up. So I kind of get it. Yeah, those terrains look good. The recurring theme of this. Alright, priority assets versus reconnaissance. We get Vanguard Operation. Any battle round, end of your turn. A friendly unit performed a Vanguard Operation this turn for 4 points. So one or more enemies were destroyed this turn. Vanguard Operation is in your shooting phase. One friendly unit within a terrain area located in enemy territory. Use limits once per turn. End of your turn, provide no enemies units are within that terrain area. If your unit performs a Vanguard Operation. So you do it once per turn, any terrain feature, but it's gotta be enemy territory. I think the one where I really start questioning where the enemy territory pieces count because sometimes the line goes through it. Because the majority over the line is a count. Or do you just have to be able to touch it like somewhere that's over the line and it counts? I don't know. Same matter on onwards, you control one objectives for 4. You control the opponent's home for 10 at the end. This is the one where I'm like, man, this is weird because the reconnaissance player gets search and scour. Any battle round, end of your turn, you control one or more central objectives for 3. One or more enemy units that start the turn within a terrain area are destroyed. So you want to go into terrain areas as a priority assets player, do actions. They get points for killing you after you complete your actions, basically. Second battle round onwards. For each objective you control, excluding your home objective, you get 4. No enemy units, and for enemy battle round, no enemy units are wholly within your territory. That feels really fucking hard to do. Granted, it's like your goal of this entire mission because they have to do their action in a piece of terrain in your territory. Which means they're also feeding you this set of virtue points. And this is the one where, like, yeah, I was questioning it because, like, the line's right here. This one is pretty, I feel like it's fine enough. Like, it comes to the end of the line, but this should be safely in enemy territory. And definitely this. So this is two different pieces here, which is good. Piece, one piece. Okay. And I guess because, like, okay, the reconnaissance player wants to hold center. They score for holding center. And then for also holding one objective. You also score one for holding one objective. But you have to be in their territory to do Vanguard operation. Hmm. And they have to hold a central objective for 3. So think of us for holding that central objective. But if you're trying to push into their territory, you're probably trying to keep them off central as well. So that way, because especially like this big piece of central, it feels like it's going to be a really good platform to shoot from. If you're infantry and you're fully in it, you got cover. If you're a monster vehicle, depending on your positioning, I feel like it's easy to position in this piece of terrain, so that way you get cover from most of the enemy shooting, no matter where they're coming from. Like, especially with like the two dense pieces being the opposite corners, I feel like it's easy to position yourself in some way. Even if it's like towing in on this side, so you see everybody here or whatever, or hugging against this, so you're blocking part of your model, so you can fire into here depending how far pressed you are. Oh, this will be cool. This is the one I need to see played out. Like how they really function to each other. All right. As the priority assets player against Purge the foe, you get the Vital Link mission. Any battle round, end of your turn, you control one or more central objectives for 2. For each of your operation markers within range of one of those objectives, you get +1 point. Maintain control is the action for Vital Link. In your shooting phase, one friendly unit within range of the one central objective, unit once per turn. Moves at the end of your turn if your unit controls that objective. The effect is you place an operation marker within range of that objective. Second battle onward, you control one or more objectives, excluding your home. You get 4. Cumulative, one or more of those objectives is a central objective. You get 4 more. So if you hold an objective and it's a central objective, you score for every freaking round from turn 2 onward. So that's 32 points in the course of 4 rounds if you hold it. End of battle, if you control your opponent's home, you get 10. So this encourages you to be a bit aggressive. Let's see here. If this is 32, you have to score, what, another 15. So doing this, oh, if you're scoring this, you're scoring this. So you're scoring 10. Automatically for 4 turns, that gives you 40, and the other 5, you have to do your action 5 times. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think the markers go away. Or no, +1. These objectives to reverse. Oh, it's for each one. So you only have to do it twice. Because you get 1 point the first turn, and if you were able to do it turn 2, you get 2 then. And then if you held it for turn 3, you get 2 more. So that'd be your 5. You'd be over the 5 there. But that's a good way to kind of make up for lacking or not holding central for like the first turn, maybe. Or having the back and forth, because if you hold it like at the end of your turn, you did the action, you're going to start scoring the cumulative points. Oh, but you have to control it to get the cumulative. But you could stack up the action. Like if your opponent took it back in their turn, but you did the action, because it completes the end of your turn, but they took the objective back. Then the next turn you took it, you did the action a third time, and then you actually kept it this time, you'd score 3 points in the following turn for having 3 of those markers on it. Yeah, interesting. The Purge the Flow player is going to get Destroyer's Wrath. Any battle on any of your turn, one or more enemies are destroyed this turn. Second battle onwards, or any of your command phase, you control 1 or more objectives, excluding your home. Control more objectives than your opponent for 6. So if you just hold an objective, you get 4. If you have more than your opponent, there's the... Okay, so you have 4 objectives for this. That serves you 10, right? Right the frick there, man. Second battle onwards, more enemy units were destroyed this turn than friendly units were destroyed in the previous turn for 4. This is one of those ones I want to say. Okay, so like if you just did these two is 7, you get this 3 points. You should get 15 points from this through the course of the game. To score 30 another way. So just 4 points for 4 rounds of the game gets you 16. To get your other 14, you do a mix of these two. It's definitely really doable. I feel like this person's got this, so like if your 2 goes to the purge of the phone, they can bear through and they get your home. And then assuming they're purging actions, they can definitely make up for maybe not holding central as much as they wanted to at the end of the game. It's interesting. I'm really curious how priority assets is gonna really perform in the beginning. Or even at all, I guess. Again, the maps look really good. It is split central. It's the big triangle pieces for all 3 of them. This is the theme too. Like if for all 3 variants of the layouts, the central objectives are always the same terrain pieces. Everything else is different, set up different though. Um, There's like a lot of room in your deployment zone to put your stuff. I like that. Yeah, this is a good one for hiding your monsters, honestly. Like you can be a little bit more forward. I know someone could toe in and shoot your monster right away, but you feel like over in here, depending how much this actually fits for spacing, like this is gonna give you cover if someone's shooting from over here. They'd have to be like way over here. Even then, they shot from here. You might have cover because of this. So. This is also a nice safe one for your monsters too, because they can run right through these 2 corners here in your vehicles. This is nice and open for your vehicles and stuff. They can just barrel right in. Um, and this one's fine too, because like this 10th edition, you'd start your monsters and vehicles way behind this piece. But this edition, honestly, for 11th, I might start them up here because they're gonna cover. Bait you into coming out into shooting me right out the gate. But this huge piece right here lets you hide your stuff pretty well in here too, behind those for the first turn. Or like for deployment and everything. So does this piece right here. It's gonna give you a lot of coverage. It just kind of clicked with me too, like that some of these deployments really give you a way to like stage your army out like really well. Instead of trying to work around the ruins, like we were a lot in the previous edition. But again, it's gonna come to like practice, and we'll see how it actually feels when we get to actually playing it. I just noticed this is the longest of these 5 videos I've done so far, but Priority Assets is the one where there's extra actions for every single freaking mission. It's also like the most unique. Priority Assets is all about the actions, freaking really Disruption's like the nice middle ground between it, and maybe Recon sometimes too. So I have to see. Those 3 interested me the most. Take and Hold and Purge are so similar to what we're so used to. 40K that I mean they're fine. They're not bad. They're good. They're set up well, I feel like so far. It's just like it's the least appeal to me so far. They're very straightforward though. It'll just kind of depend what attachments I start running here, and then obviously we're kind of stuck with the disposition our detachment gives us at that point, and whatever your add-on detachment may be. If you can swing one if you're not running a 3-point detachment, which I probably won't in the beginning for Tyranids. I'm kind of leaning towards trying to max this out, depending what they do to our psychic monsters. And I have Crusher Stampede I love, and I have a lot of Raveners, so Vanguard Onslaught. Yeah, Vanguard Onslaught is a option as well for me here too. Anyways, if you're listening, thank you for popping by. I appreciate it. I am going to do more and more of these videos here, especially with 11th edition rolling here really, really soon. But, you have a good one. I think I've rambled enough here. I'm quite tired. So take care. Go make some coffee. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.